Guys. Oh, no, 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 no.
I've gone to raising the bar for several years now. My first one would have been going to OSU in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
This is my second Raising the Bar conference. I have loved them both, learned so much on this trip. Friday we spent most of the day at Texas Tech and learned about their beef department. We started off the day with Dr. Warner in the meat lab, learning how they fabricate a carcass and the different grading systems.
Were able to show us the different cuts of meat and where they come from on carcasses. And then we were able to go and taste test and cook them in different ways to try how different cooking methods affect the way steaks will taste.
The cooking method experiment was very interesting because as beef producers, we tend to stick to our favorite. But this way I got to see different methods from the salamander to the civet to pan frying or even cooking in the oven. And we were able to see how we liked each style, depending on how thick the meat was cut. And my personal favorite was the civet, which was also my group and voted to be the most tender.
After that, we then went to a sensory test where we were able to taste the steaks and just be able to tell the difference between the salt, the sweet, and the bitterness.
The sensory tasting was something that I'd never even thought about, but turns out it's a very large portion of selling our product to the consumers. Learn more about Texas Tech from the Agri-Texans before splitting up again and learning how to evaluate a live animal, along with using ultrasounds to determine yield grade before an animal is even processed.
Later on that evening, something, I don't think the juniors have been able to see a lot. We went out to Slate Group. They're quite a big business and they do a lot of printing.
Funny enough, my first Raising the Bar conference in 2014 was in Lubbock, and throughout the years I attended all the Raising the Bars and leads that I could. I'm super excited to give some insight back to the Angus Juniors about something that my family and I are passionate about. When they first got here, my dad went up there and just gave them the big rundown about what we do, and more importantly, the impact of print media and print marketing within this industry. And then put together a really cool game where he got the juniors into groups and gave them about 10 minutes to come up with a package to try and get new possible juniors into this association. And what those juniors came up with in 10 minutes could really give some people some run for their money because it was really impressive.
Personally, I think we should have won the contest. We ended up being fourth. Still think we had the best idea. Confetti shot out of our box. Yeah, the judges saw it differently for sure.
And then we hopped across the street and kind of put some visualization of what we were talking about, and we were able to kind of take them across the company and show them hands-on what they saw in that session.
Kicked off Saturday at a feedlot, Cactus Feeders and Health Center, so they got to see the enormous scale of how large a beef feedlot is. Then we took that on to the production side at Angus Ranch. Got to see their operation with some registered and commercial cattle. And then we finished out that day tour-wise at Evie Mays.
I'm Mallory Robbins. My husband Arnis and I own Evie Mays Barbecue in Wolfforth, Texas. At Evie Mays, we are a pretty traditional Texas barbecue joint. We serve certified Angus prime beef. Today we broke out into groups. We had 3 different groups. One went with me and we discussed just sort of our backstory and the restaurant, and one group went with my husband and toured the pit room and kind of talked about the pits we use, touched on the cooking process and wood. And then a group went with Nathan, one of our cold room guys, and they discussed trimming raw briskets and probably seasoning a little bit, and just kind of all around how we run this restaurant. And then we fed them a certified Angus beef brisket dinner. It was really neat to have these kids from all over the country and just to kind of see the full circle from growing to harvesting to a brisket dinner. They're welcome in Texas anytime.
I would recommend this to anyone. Start out when you're young and you're able to go to more colleges.
I think I'm very fortunate to be one of the students that were able to come. I think it's a great opportunity, and I'd encourage anyone inside NJAA or outside of the association to consider coming.
We had an outstanding conference here at Texas Tech for Raising the Bar, but it keeps getting greater and greater, and I can't wait to see where it is next year or the year after that. It's an awesome experience.